Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Plus free premium delivery with any smart bed and adjustable base. Ends Labor Day. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser.
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul is not here today, but who is Cassie Spazzelli.
I'm walking here.
And her name was Cassandra Musa. Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Ross Jackson, he of LouisianaSports.net, will be here in less than 15 minutes. Ross was at the Saints' final preseason game against Denver. Want to get his takeaways from that. Also, some of the early cuts that have already come in. Any surprises? What else should we be looking for? Some Who Dat talk with Ross, again, less than 15 minutes from right now. LSU wrapped up fall camp Saturday in Tiger Stadium, about a 90-minute workout. Media was invited to watch the entirety of the workout, and family was invited to attend as well. Media sat in the press box, family, boosters observed from the stands, the west stands in Tiger Stadium. And I have some notes. Now, when it transpired the way it did, I sort of understand why they allowed us to watch the last practice, because normally we never get to go watch scrimmages, which typically they have in Tiger Stadium during fall camp. And so when we were told they were going to let us watch Saturday's practice in Tiger Stadium, I got pretty excited thinking we're going to get to watch the last scrimmage. This was not that. They went out for the first half an hour or so and practiced. We saw some 7-on-7. We saw the offensive defensive line pass rush drill. They did some individual work. There were a few 11-on-11 periods. By my count, there were 7 possessions of 11-on-11. We did not see ones versus ones. Garrett Nussmeier did not participate in the 11-on-11, did not throw a pass at all during the practice. And Whit Weeks sat some of it out. Braylon Moore was helmet, shoulder pads, and just snapping and running off to the side, did not participate in 11-on-11 or in any of the practices that we saw. Dominic McKinley was absent. Nick Anderson was not participating. Keelan Moses, C.J. Jackson not participating. Carius Kern, maybe the most notable that didn't participate. Austin Osbury also did not participate. Carius Kern was on the exercise bike, just riding his exercise bike. And so naturally, that begged a lot of questions. Now, we were not able, there was no media availability after practice, so we did not have the opportunity to ask Brian Kelly or any of the players questions after practice. So Nussmeier, a week before the opener, not throwing the football was notable. Now, I want to remind you that last Friday, okay, so a little more than a week ago now, not this past Friday, the Friday before, we got to watch practice at the indoor facility. Garrett Nussmeier was not throwing the football. When Brian Kelly met with reporters, he said, it's just load management. We got Nuss on a pitch count. He's going to scrimmage, full bore, which was last Saturday in Tiger Stadium, which he did. Then Nussmeier practiced all last week, and then we go watch practice on Saturday, and Nussmeier's not throwing the ball. And it begs the question, is there something going on with Nussmeier? So I asked Brian Kelly that today on Monday. Here was the answer.
When you get into the camp situation, we have I know it's not a great analogy, but we have a pitch count where we want to take our quarterback's load off, and all the installation was in, Matt. We were done with installation. So this was just more throwing. We wanted to wait and get into Clemson in game week. And so he'll be out there on Tuesday, practicing full.
I will say this. We have all been conditioned to be skeptical of coaches talking about injuries. The first coach I covered at this school, one time LSU was going to play a game against Tennessee, and that coach insisted that the center all week was healthy and was great. Not only did that center not play, he didn't even make the trip to Tennessee. That was Helms in 2011. That wasn't Helms. It was PJ Lonergan in 2011. We're conditioned to believe coaches are lying to us about injuries. To his credit, Brian Kelly was ahead of the curve with disclosing injury information. You know the scene in My Cousin Vinny where Joe Pesci is trying to get the other attorney. He's like, they're going hunt. He's going to butter him up and try to get him to divulge some stuff about the case. And he asks, and then what's the name? What's the actor's name? Lane. Anyway, whatever. The guy was the bad coach, the bad guy coach of the Hawks and Mighty Ducks. Calls his secretary. I was like, hey, get all my files and send them over to Gambini. Because it's disclosure and you had to. Well, now they have to with an injury report. But Brian Kelly don't have to do that. He's just always been forthcoming, since he's been at LSU anyway, about injuries. He just discloses stuff. So I've come to believe him when he tells us certain things, but even still with Nuss from a week ago when he said it's just a pitch count, and then he practiced the next day and all the next week. And so when Nuss didn't practice or didn't throw the ball on Saturday, that was my assumption, it was this whole pitch count thing. And that's what Kelly told us today. I can tell you after practice, I did reach out to several different people within the program to ask, and all told me unequivocally there is nothing wrong with him. He is totally fine. Nussmeier is totally fine. There's nothing wrong at all. And Brian Kelly seemed to validate that today. And I will say this is really a hat tip to Jack Marucci and the training staff and all of the people in that department, because they have really been on the forefront of a lot of the bio tracking and all the different measurements and markers. They all wear those tracking devices that look like a sports bra, but it's measuring like their heart rate, their blood flow, their oxygen levels, all that stuff, so they know who's losing weight, who's at their most efficiency, everything. The whole acclimatization period Kelly talked about, knowing that the highest incidence of soft tissue injuries are in the first 7 days, so they start them very slowly, started indoor, then outdoor, gradually ramped up. And they had one soft tissue injury throughout 3 weeks of fall camp. Jakeem Jackson had a slight hamstring pull. He's back out there already. So part of me looks and goes, they seem to have it figured out. So if they think that Nuss being on a pitch count is going to help him, okay, then limit his throwing. Fine. A couple of the others that were notable, I did ask Brian Kelly. I only got the mic once during the press conference. I asked him afterwards. I found him in the hall. I asked him about Dominic McKinley. He said that was an excused absence. McKinley was not at practice on Saturday. And then I asked him about Carius Kern. He said it was patellar tendonitis. So, yes, I cannot not even. Why would I lie about that? So the same thing that Nuss has had, whatever the patellar tendonitis, is what Kern had. And I think that's just a very fancy way for people to say that he's got a sore knee. And there's nothing really wrong at all, and he's going to be able to go. Braylon Moore, they were just obviously a precaution, not needing him to do anything. He's the center of your offensive line. You need him to be out there. So what I will say is this, and one very clear observation from Saturday, there is a massive chasm between Garrett Nussmeier and the next two quarterbacks. And I fully understand Colin Hurley, missed spring and had just an incredible fight to get back onto the football field. It's remarkable. He's nowhere near good enough to help you win a football game today. Today. It's not say he won't be. Say today. Same with Michael Van Buren. They were bad on Saturday. There's no other way to say it. They were bad. There was one route, Aaron Anderson, down the numbers on the right side, about 20 yards downfield, was wide open. Van Buren threw it behind him, incomplete. Those two guys are not ready to help you win. I can say that unequivocally. So there may not be a more indispensable player in all of college football, considering expectations. LSU has championship expectations. You have got to keep Garrett Nussmeier upright for 12 regular season games and whatever else may come after that. There were 3 big offensive plays. Harlem Berry had a gorgeous touchdown reception in 7-on-7. He was out in the flat. Witt tried to jump the route. Berry snagged it, turned toward the sideline, and jetted upfield about 10 yards into the end zone. Xavier Thomas caught a 65-yard touchdown, beat Michael Turner deep. It was Van Buren who threw that pass. And the play before that, they were in a beautiful – this is a play I think they're going to utilize a lot. It's a sort of tight end drag route to Bauer Sharp. Or Sharp start on the left side of the line. He releases underneath, coming to the right. They dump it to him, and he turns upfield. It's a beautiful design play, and they have the right players to do it. That you're going to see the tight ends obviously involved a lot. And then, they wrapped up practice. The last 45 minutes or so was just a dress rehearsal where they went through every possible scenario that you could imagine. For example, there was a point where the offense has the ball at their own 20-yard line, and Nuss just kind of rolls it. It looked like he was bowling. He just rolled it. Well, he was simulating a fumble. And so it was fumble, okay, quick change. Now the defense has to run out there. Okay, then you get a stop, and Clemson is lining up for a field goal. Well, then they simulate the snapper running under center to try to hard count the defense to jump off sides. Okay, then they moved him back 5 yards and then attempted a long field goal, but the field goal came up short, so they had Berry and Brown under the upright as the field goal returner. Think, kick six. And he returns it, and it's a long return, but he gets knocked out at the 30. Well, it's sort of the end of the half, so now you got to go attempt a field goal. Well, you go to attempt a field goal, but you have a false start on the field goal, so you have to back up 5. And so then you're rushing the field goal unit out, and now you're going to attempt a deep ball instead, a jump ball, Hail Mary. It was just all of this sequencing, and it was everything you can imagine. There was even one where LSU takes over the ball offensively at their own 2. They stall out. They got a punt from the back of the end zone. Now they take a safety, and so LSU has to free kick from the 20, and so Aaron Burrell goes out there to free kick. I mean, they just simulated everything. Anything you can imagine that could happen in a football game, they were simulating it. So there was nothing new, in theory, for these guys to experience when they go to Clemson on Saturday night. So that's what we got to see Saturday in Tiger Stadium as they wrapped up fall camp. And now today, after having an off day on Sunday, today, Monday, they're back at it. Full bore, getting ready with install and preparation for Clemson on Saturday night in Clemson. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. Part of my Sunday routine with Drew after church is I always take him to the mall. He loves to ride the elevator. So I put him in a wagon. I'll push him all through the mall, and he loves to push the buttons on the elevators and all that stuff. Kind of like Buddy the Elf. Just, it's a Christmas tree. Anyway, we always pass the Lee Michaels, of course, in the mall. One of 2 Lee Michaels in Baton Rouge. There's the Mall of Louisiana, and then there's Bocage, on Corporate in Bocage. But that's just 2 of the 10 Lee Michaels locations. Lafayette, New Orleans, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. If you're thinking of popping the question, gents, schedule that consultation, schedule that appointment to go meet. Try on any piece of jewelry that you want. Try on 1,000 different pieces. They want her to be thrilled and you to be the hero. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. All right, it's After Further Review. 1 hour from right now, Chris Carrier, former Tigers safety, of course, NFL safety, was actually my civics teacher as well at Catholic High. Now a coach at Zachary who knows Chris Hilton and Trades Green exceptionally well, knows safety play exceptionally well. I got to see CC at the practice on Saturday. So hop on here and let's talk a little. Talk a little safety play, a little DB play. The Zachary guys who are on this LSU team. We'll do that coming up here in about an hour from right now. Let me knock out a break, come back. Ross Jackson will be here. We'll talk some Who Dat. It's AFR.
AFR.
Y'all, we are moving into Q4 of 2025. If you want Q4 of 2025 to be as productive as possible before we get into the holidays, when most people start to take off the last couple weeks of the year, as we all know well, you want Glow Resources. Glow Resources can help you find the right people, and we all know people are the key. Having the right people are the key to productivity. And if you're struggling to find the right people and keeping the right people, Glow Resources can help, because that's what they do. They are complete employer solutions. They're not a temp staffing agency. They work for you, the business owner, the HR manager, the hiring manager, the VP. If you're in charge in your business of getting the right people on the right seats on the bus to make your business the most productive it can be, you need Glow Resources. Check them out online at glowresources.com, glowresources.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
This is the most challenging week of the NFL. We've invested so much time in all 90 of these guys. They've put everything into this. This is everyone's hopes and dreams and aspirations, and we want that to happen to all these guys. Naturally, you have to go from 90 to 53, bring 16 or 17 back on practice squad, and we want to keep as many of these guys as we can in this organization, because we're going to need all these guys. As the season goes on, you're going to need a lot of guys to contribute, and so there's challenging discussions to be had, but this is a group that we root for and we're all in on.
That process has begun. Kellen Moore, after the Saints lost to the Denver Broncos on Saturday, they have until Tuesday at 3 Central to get from 90 to 53. As we mentioned, that process has already begun. Ross Jackson is manning our Saints roster tracker over at LouisianaSports.net. He's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Yo, man, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
What is the most notable roster move today?
Yeah, I think for me, and this might come as a surprise, but for me, it's one of the undrafted free agents. It's Jasheem Davis. I know he dealt with an injury that kind of kept him out of the first 2 preseason games, so it's not a surprising move, but it is a notable one because I know that's a guy that they would love to get back on their practice squad. Now, I think they're going to be able to do that. I think out of the 870-plus players that were released yesterday, it was only like 2% of them that got claimed off of waivers and everything. So I think the Saints are probably going to be safe here. But that, to me, was kind of the most notable one. And then there were a couple of moves at tight end that kind of gave us a little bit of glimpse on where things might be going there, with Michael Jacobson released as well as Seth Green released. Seth Green, not a surprise, but Michael Jacobson and Trayton Welsh were kind of the two that most people were kind of jostling as maybe being the third tight end on the roster. And so if the Saints keep 3, it feels like Trayton Welsh is in line, but Moliki Matavao is still currently on the roster as well. He could be sent down to waivers and then come back to the practice squad, but it looks like Welsh might be on his way to making his first NFL roster here.
You're assuming Juwan Johnson, Jack Stoll will be the first 2 tight ends?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, completely. I think Juwan's obviously locked in, especially with his contract and things like that. And then Jack Stoll, who doesn't necessarily have the contract that kind of bakes him in there, but his connection with Kellen Moore and run game coordinator TJ Paganetti from the Philadelphia Eagles last year, I think kind of helps him, be one of those guys you can consider a lock at the position.
2 other players I want to ask about, not necessarily it's a giant surprise, just that it's notable. One is Cam Akers. He's a veteran and certainly a notable player. What does Cam Akers' release tell you, if anything, about what they plan to do at running back?
Yeah, I mean, it seems so. We couple the release of Cam Akers with what we saw in that final preseason game, where only 3 running backs, or where there were 3 different running backs that took snaps with the first team. Alvin Kamara, who actually took snap with the first team. He only took 1 snap the entire game.
Snap,
and then,
singular.
Yeah, he took single snap with the first team. And then Kendre Miller got 11, and then the other 4 went to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that kind of tells you that maybe they see those 3 guys as maybe their game day guys. But you kind of have a little bit of a hack here with Clyde Edwards-Helaire because of the fact that he's a vested veteran. You could have a handshake deal with him, cut him for now, and then bring him onto the practice squad pretty immediately, and then maybe bring him back up to the active roster after you're done kind of doing all of the other moves that you have to do to deal with injury and things like that. So he could be a useful piece of the roster management mechanism. But I would expect that those 3 guys are up at the top. But then, Bayless Jones Jr. was really impressive, especially as a returner as well. You could technically factor him into either a running back or a wide receiver number, though, so that gives him a little bit of a flexibility there. And then the only other guy, really, rookie Devin Neal and rookie Marcus Yarn, I think, Devin Neal probably makes the roster there, too. So I think the Cam Akers release tells you that Kendre Miller is a guy that's pretty locked in. He was pretty much, similar to what Cam Akers could give you. We believe that he's locked down that running back 2 spot anyway. And then outside of that, you're probably looking at what's going to happen with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But not like you said, not a big surprise. Like Cam Akers never really looked like he fully got his legs back under him throughout this training camp. But we'll be interested to see if he ends up being a veteran guy that comes back to the practice squad at some point.
Go back to Clyde for a second. You said as a vested veteran, that may help them cut him and then sign him back. Does it help me understand? So that means if they cut him, someone wouldn't be able to sign him immediately to the active roster? Help me understand that.
Yeah, basically because he's a vested veteran. And so a vested veteran means that they meet the requirements of years and games active in order to be considered a veteran player. Like there's a literal definition for vested veteran. And I think it's like 6 games of activity within 3 years. And that could mean on the active roster, but not necessarily the game day roster, all these other things. And so because of the fact that he has, been so much more than that, he is somebody that is a veteran player. So instead of him being waived, he would be released. And so release means that he would go directly to free agency where he can choose where he signs next, as opposed to being subject to waivers where another team could put in a claim for him and then pick him up without him having any word in it. So the Saints could effectively say, hey, we're going to release you because need that roster flexibility, but hang around and we're going to bring you back on the practice squad and eventually back on the active roster. They did that with a guy like Jonathan Abram years ago as well. Like you see that pretty often with these veteran guys.
The other one is James Burnip, the punter from Alabama, was waived. Does that mean Kai Kroger's won the job? I
think so. We kind of asked Kellen Moore about it today, and, he kind of mentioned, Kai Kroger's on the roster. It's like, yeah, we know that, but is he your starting punter? And he never really kind of got into confirming that. So it's an interesting one. If the Saints don't go to the market and say, hey, there's this other punter that they like or a guy that they want to try for on waivers first or whatever that might be, then yeah, it would be Kai Kroger that's set up. But it's interesting because the James Burnip release felt like it was they've selected their starting punter, but it doesn't really feel like that's been confirmed yet. So we're waiting to see if maybe there's more action at that position. If not, then yeah, Kai Kroger becomes the 4th punter in 4 years for this team, and then they'll see where things go. I thought he had a strong camp, particularly towards the end, and it kind of, they kind of tipped their hand that he was going to be the guy that wasn't going to be cut at least early because, they had him being Blake Grupe's holder during the preseason games out there. So I thought that was a pretty good indication. But I think punter remains to be seen, but Kai Kroger is firmly positioned unless a new face shows up to be that guy.
He's on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. Read him at LouisianaSports.net. You can watch him or listen to Locked on Saints every day. Preseason game number 3 against Denver. Any big, flashing neon sign takeaways from the game for you?
I think I would say the first team defense was one. I mean, outside of the unnecessary roughness penalty that got called that led to, a much longer and more successful drive for Denver than they were in shape to have in like a 2nd and 20 situation there. But I thought that the first team defense showed some really good things. We've seen some really nice things from their front in particular. And so pressure on the quarterback, all those other things. You'd like to see them finishing those plays at the quarterback still. I think that's still something this team is struggling with right now. But as, the season kicks off, I think the defense is going to be the reason that they're in games, if they're in games early on in the season. And then I would say, too, that, that Kendre Miller takeaway that I had from earlier that we wrote about over on LouisianaSports.net was, felt like he very much has solidified that running back 2 role, making sure, Kellen Moore making sure that he got reps with the first team, getting him out there. And Kellen Moore just had so much kind of high praise around him. I thought those were 2 kind of big signal beacons, if you will, that let you know, what was going on. And then I think the other thing that stands out, of course, is the Landon Young injury. We learned today that injury is going to take a little bit of time for him to get back out there. So this sort of injury-stricken offensive line unit continues to pile up with injuries. And so that means the Saints might be pretty busy when it comes to looking at players that are becoming available over the course of these next 48 hours or so.
All right, Ross, maybe we're burying the lead, but Kellen Moore didn't name a starter.
And I think because of that, we haven't buried the lead.
Maybe so. Okay, make sense of this. 31 other teams have named their starter. The Saints haven't. What are they waiting on?
Yeah, I mean, there's two possibilities, right? There's the one possibility is that they genuinely still have not picked their guy, and they're still combing through and deliberating and all these other things. Ultimately, though, this all comes down to who Kellen Moore wants, and I'm sure he knows who it is that he wants to be his head coach his quarterback one way or another. The other possibility is that they absolutely know who it is. They're just not announcing it. And if I'm being honest, I don't think that you pick up much of a competitive advantage by waiting very long, but I get the idea and I get the urge to do so. This is something we've seen the Saints do before. Could they kind of take this all the way down? But with them practicing on Wednesday and Thursday, it means we're going to see some kind of quarterback rotation when we're there observing that open window of practice. And so I think maybe that might be when they decide that they want to come out and say, okay, this is the starting quarterback for this season. Whether it's that they truly haven't made a decision or they have and they're just not in a hurry to make it public, both of those things have value. Both of those things can be, can be the way that they're going. But as of right now, I don't know how much of a competitive advantage you really get when you already have a new offense. You're already going to have a new starter. There's not a lot that these Arizona Cardinals are going to be able to go back and find on you if you choose, either one of these quarterbacks. And so I don't think the gamesmanship thing is there. I think there might still be a genuine deliberation that's happening, and the Saints are giving this as much time as possible. I don't know if that's good or bad. We'll certainly find out, but they'll have that decision made, I think, before they actually hit the practice field again, and that to me is the most important thing.
Okay. The last thing, I always say on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, that's not going to be the final 53. That's the first 53 right. Because, as you mentioned, there's roughly 900 players that are going to be free agents. What positions might the Saints be looking to upgrade most notably if a veteran player or a young player gets released or waived by their current team?
Yeah, I think you're watching the offensive line. I think that's the most, I guess I don't want to call it obvious, but the most likely spot, just because of the injuries that they've dealt with there. The other position that I think could be really interesting is tight end, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of really exciting talent that's going to hit the market at that position, but certainly a place that they could be watching. And then running back comes to mind just basically based off of the reports that the Saints might be, calling around and checking in on running backs. If that's the case, then certainly they'll be paying attention to, who hits the market and if there's any opportunities to add more talent at that position. So those three stand out. I'd be curious if another big-bodied wide receiver would be of interest to New Orleans at any point, even if it's just for the practice squad. So you have another one of those guys to go to, especially considering Devon Bailey does have that knee thing that they've been watching over in Denver, that knee injury that they've been watching over in Denver. And so maybe that can make sense if the right guy hits the market. But I think it's going to be a lot of offensive spots where you'll see the Saints do that, headlined by offensive line.
He is Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, Locked On Saints podcast or YouTube, whether you want to watch or listen. We always appreciate it, man. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate you. Take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, be well. That is Ross Jackson. We're brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com. Evamore.com. Stay hydrated. Always have my bottle of Evamore with me here on set. Drink it all day. Encourage you to do the same. You can get it at great local retailers or online at Evamore.com, EVAMOR, Evamore.com. I also love, this is one random one-off, I do love the wide mouth bottle as well. That's one of the things you'll notice when you buy Evamore, as opposed to maybe some other bottled water that have the very narrow opening. It's a big wide mouth bottle, makes it easier to drink. Anyway, check it out, Evamore. It's a Louisiana product. It's natural artesian water. It's a healthier form of hydration, healthier option for your family. Buy a 64-ounce bottle of Evamore. Put that in your Keurig. Use that to cook with. Drink it. Give it to your children. Be healthier. Evamore can help you do it. EVAMOR, Evamore.com. All right, we appreciate Ross for hanging out with us. It'll be interesting to see what they do at running back. Just a reminder, it's the thing we always talk about every year around roster cut down time. It's never the final 53. It's the first 53 because undoubtedly after they announce their 53, within 24 hours, you're going to have players who, quote-unquote, make the team that are going to be let go, and you're going to have roster turnover and changes there. So just something worth keeping an eye on as they move throughout these next few days. All right, it's After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. We'll knock out a quick break. We usually have Tigers in the pros in about 15 minutes from right now. The one who broke our heart. Looks like he's going to have a chance leading Big Blue. I got some thoughts on that next on AFR.
After Further Review.
We're brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Y'all, we are into football season. The first home game is next week. Maybe you got people coming in for that home opener, or you're looking at hosting some friends, family, clients, coworkers. Watermark and Renaissance Baton Rouge. Two amazing hotel properties. The Watermark's downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. You know, Watermark is super convenient to LSU. You could stay in downtown Baton Rouge, a short drive right there on 3rd Street, either River Road or Nicholson, right into campus. I mean, you're minutes from LSU's campus. So it's a great way, a great place to stay on game weekends. And, of course, the lobby bar is an awesome place to pregame, to tailgate over there at Watermark Baton Rouge. And the Gregory, fantastic dining option. Remember, Milford's on 3rd, a little more casual sandwich shop, also connected there inside Watermark Baton Rouge. It is Baton Rouge's premier hotel property downtown. Check it out. It's Watermark Baton Rouge.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And we do shutters too.
Bryce Underwood is going to be the starting quarterback for Michigan. CBS reported it first. ESPN's Pete Thamel also reported it. Michigan will open up their season this coming weekend with a layup against New Mexico before they head to Oklahoma on September the 6th to face the Sooners. Bryce Underwood did an interview with the Big Ten Network there in their fall camp, and had this exchange with the Big Ten reporters.
Give me a few things that you're most excited to get on the field and do this fall.
Honestly, just to shock the world, they seen a lot of freshmen, but I feel like nobody's seen a freshman like me. So,
what are some of the goals you have for yourself?
Honestly, do whatever it takes to get my team to wherever they want to be, which is the national championship. Of course, beating Ohio State is one of the other things as well. So, however I can prepare my team like that, that's what I'm willing to do.
Winning games,
of course.
Bryce Underwood wants to shock the world. If you're the number one overall recruit in the country and someone that everyone has talked about and praised for at least 2 calendar years, probably longer, are you really shocking the world if you're good? It might actually be more of a surprise if you're not good. I'm going to hate watch Michigan football this year. Like, I don't want to ever, like I tell you, I don't cheer for the SEC. I'm not a root for the conference guy. Like, Alabama or Georgia winning another title doesn't do a damn bit of good for me or for my team. I don't need to see Ole Miss win a championship. I don't need Texas 8-4 to break through and all of a sudden become a playoff team. I want them buried, wallowing in what they are and what they've been. Like, I don't need Mississippi State with Dak Prescott being ranked number 1 in the country. I need you to be a doormat. That's what you are. I need you to be that. Like, if you're in the Big 12, like, teams in the Big 12 aren't out there going, thank God Kansas is good. No, they needed to just take their Sharpie and scribble a double and a W on their schedule poster every time Kansas rolled onto the schedule. So I'm not rooting for the league, but my goodness, I hope Oklahoma drops Michigan on their head in week 2. That game's in Norman. I hope Brent Venables' defense acts like a Brent Venables defense, and they just suffocate Bryce Underwood in Michigan just to make, not necessarily that I don't want bad things for Bryce Underwood. I just don't want any good things for Michigan after that whole thing. So I want them to have a miserable year. For whatever it's worth, Michigan's over-under this year is 8.5. So 8-4, 9-3 is kind of where they have them pegged. I just always look at a true freshman starting quarterback, and I'm going to approach that with a little bit of hesitancy and skepticism. I know Trevor Lawrence, as a true freshman back in 2018, won the national championship. 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, completed 65% of his passes, had a QBR of 157. He was awesome. He's also the first true freshman to lead his quarterback, or true freshman quarterback to lead his team to the national title in 40 years. It's just not something that generally happens. You don't typically see true freshmen have great success. Dante Moore was a 5-star. As a true freshman, threw 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He's no longer at UCLA. A year ago, Dylan Raiola at Nebraska was a 5-star, started as a true freshman. They went 7-6. You can go down the list. Remember Connor Wegman? Connor Wegman was a 5-star, went to Texas A&M, actually played pretty well in a relief role, started the opener last year and then stunk. Cade Klubnik played a little bit as a true freshman, had two touchdowns, 3 picks in a reserve role. Caleb Williams, as a true freshman, of course, won the job at Oklahoma and forced Spencer Rattler out and threw 21 touchdowns, 4 picks. So there are exceptions. I mean, there are times where true freshmen, 5-stars, play really well. Then there's Josh Rosen, who threw 23 touchdowns and 11 picks. Jarrett Stidham was a 5-star, played as a freshman. Kyle Allen was a 5-star, played as a freshman. The point is, it's just to see Trevor Lawrence have the freshman year he did is the outlier. It is the exception. The rule is more Dylan Raiola going 7-6 at Nebraska. Dante Moore having a struggling at UCLA transferring to Oregon. Like, that's more the rule. So it's just a tough ask for an 18-year-old to take over at the helm, no matter what your physical ability is, to be able to go and be awesome from jump. I mean, even a year ago, DJ Lagway, remember Lagway threw in that non-conference game, threw for nearly 500 yards in week 2. If you remember, Graham Mertz got a concussion. Lagway went and threw for nearly 500 yards. And then I believe it was a game against either Tennessee or Kentucky. And Lagway came off the bench. It was Tennessee. Threw a pick right away. Really struggled there. I know they went 6-1 down the stretch with Lagway as the starter, but Lagway only completed about 50% of his passes and threw as many touchdowns as he did, interceptions as he did touchdowns. So, it's going to be there. It's always a little bit of a learning curve for those freshmen. Maybe alleviated when a team like Trevor Lawrence had at Clemson had so many NFL guys on it. It takes some of the pressure off. When you look at this Michigan team coming off a 500 season a year ago and a coach in Sharon Moore who isn't Jim Harbaugh, probably have a little bit steeper learning curve. But they play New Mexico, then they're at Oklahoma, home against Central Michigan, and then the slate of Big Ten games comes. If there is something working in favor for Bryce Underwood in Michigan, it's that after Oklahoma in week 2, there's not another ranked team on their schedule until Ohio State in the regular season finale. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Southern Cal, Washington, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern Maryland, then Ohio State. Say that again slowly for you. After Oklahoma in week 2, Michigan does not play another ranked team until they play Ohio State in the regular season finale. So if there is an opportunity for Bryce Underwood, maybe to have success at Michigan, it's that. It's their schedule is a steaming pile of trash, just like Indiana's was a year ago. Got him in the playoff, though. We'll see. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Love telling you about Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics, and a great partner of ours here as well on After Further Review and at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We continue to tell you about how Our Lady of the Lake continues to expand healthcare throughout not only Baton Rouge, but through the Franciscan missionaries of Our Lady Health System throughout the entire region, not only in Louisiana, but also in Mississippi as a multi-state health system. We've talked a little bit, obviously, about the news leaked about the naming rights for the new basketball arena, which I think is just an incredible display of their commitment not only to LSU athletics, but to our communities as a whole. EJ and Ryan were in our studio a couple of weeks ago talking not only about that arena, but also the medical complex that will be built around it. Think about all the many different ways, the hundreds of millions of dollars that Our Lady of the Lake and FMOL are reinvesting into our communities to expand healthcare so that we all can have an exceptional healthcare experience right here in Louisiana. It's Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Let's have to further review Musadoo Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2 here in just a little bit. Brian Kelly met with reporters today to open up Clemson week. Of course, we're into game week. Our game week schedule. We'll be back on a lot of our regular game week segments and our regulars that you'll know with Sean Salisbury coming up and Russ Mitchell on Wednesdays. Mike Triplett will be back with us on Thursdays this year talking some Saints. We'll do our opposing media segments. Phil Steele on Friday. Lee Sterling on Thursday. So many of our regular football week regulars that you've come to know and expect over the years are back starting this week. So really excited that game week's here, man. And we've made it through the long off season, and we're excited to be back on our football week schedule. So very much looking forward to that. Also, confirmed today on Wednesday, Todd McClure and Kevin Falk are going to be in studio with us together in hour 2, straight up 4 o'clock Central. Those guys we're celebrating 30 years of Bring Back the Magic. Of course, tonight LSU beat Auburn in 1995 in Tiger Stadium, the 12-6 win. And obviously 2 guys who know a little bit about running the football and the run game and offensive line play and running back play. So I'm excited to have both of the 2 LSU legends in our studio with us on Wednesday with Todd McClure and Kevin Falk. Talk a lot about LSU's running game, so that's coming up. So ton planned for this week, and we're fired up to have you with us as we count down to LSU and Clemson. Week 1 is officially upon us. All right, it's After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break. Come back. Muse will do Tigers and the Pros on AFR.
After Further Review.
Buying or selling commercial or residential, you need a realtor. You need Darren James. The all-new and redesigned Agent 225 is live. You go to agent225.com and scroll down. You'll see all the many different features at the new agent225.com. Of course, you see a bio there on Darren James, and when you go past it, you'll see how you can search by area. EBR, Ascension, Livingston, West Baton Rouge, Iberville, West Feliciana, East Feliciana, Tangipahoa, St. Tammany, wherever you are in our area, you can search by there. Or maybe there's different lifestyles. You want house with a pool, house on in a golf course community. Maybe you want new construction. You could search all right there easily at the new agent225.com. And if you have to sell your home, why would you hire anyone other than a realtor that sells more homes than anyone? It's Darren James. Agent225.com, agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Always appreciate Brandon Holly and the gang over at Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Wrapping up hour number 2. Muso as Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
The Dallas Cowboys, like every NFL team, they're trying to get down to 53. And news came down Sunday evening that La'el Collins is among the players who have been released from the Cowboys. Of course, he joined Dallas during training camp after a rash of injuries to their offensive line, including one to former LSU Tiger Sadiq Charles. Collins played right and left tackle during the preseason. Of course, started 71 games for the Cowboys from 2015 through 2021, but will not make the final cut as he is now once again a free agent. We'll see if somebody else maybe picks up Collins here as the season goes along. Paul Skeens was on the bump on Sunday, and, well, he was unstoppable, like normal. 7 shutout innings, didn't walk anybody, punched out 7 through 101 pitches. He was just fantastic. Got the win as well. Pirates gave him 4 runs, and, well, they were able to shut out the Colorado Rockies, who were even worse than the Pittsburgh Pirates. Skeens is now at 8-9. Can we get him above 500?
You can have a Cy Young winner with a losing record.
Can we get him above 500 before the season ends?
No.
We got a whole month left.
No.
We got a whole month left. I think it's possible. Hopefully. Kevin Gausman was on the bump a day ago for the Toronto Blue Jays as well. 6 innings pitched. He did give up 4 earned. Struck out 7. Unfortunately, gets tagged with the loss. He now falls to 8-10 on the season. Again, record not really indicative of the pretty solid season that Gausman has had with an ERA of about 3.8. Pretty cool moment as well over the weekend in the WNBA. Anissa Morrow and Angel Reese faced off in a game. The Chicago Sky actually posted a pretty awesome picture of the two guarding each other during the game with a nod to LSU. Morrow finished with 7 and 5 for the victorious Sun. Angel Reese recorded yet another double-double, 11 and 11. Also added 5 assists, but the Sky did fall by 10. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. We are brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. That's me and Terrio and Tilly and the whole gang over at Parish Construction and Roofing. One thing I want to remind you is we can always help finance your deductible. So let's say hypothetically, and understand, most people, homeowners, you might go through a roof replacement once or twice in your life. This isn't something that you and I are generally, as homeowners, familiar with. At Parish Construction and Roofing, we can hold your hand through the entire process from the time you make the first phone call to the completion of the roof. And if it comes down to it, if you need to finance the entire roof, or if you're using insurance and you're having trouble paying the deductible, we can help you finance the deductible as well. We will make sure you get the work done you need done. It's Parish Construction and Roofing, servicing all of South Louisiana. Parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Commercial, residential, repairs, replacements. We do gutters and soft washes and everything. It's Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. Okay, all Sports Center's coming up. We're going to get caught up on national headlines. When we come back, more Brian Kelly previewing Clemson on Monday, and former Tiger great Chris Carrier next hour as well.
AFR.
If you're in the market for a new vehicle, why wait? Why wait? Get out your smartphone. If you're at your desk, go to your website, go to your laptop, whatever it is. Go to southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. I'm mad, only buy American vehicles. Great! South Point Volkswagen, they give you the best of both worlds. Because when you buy a Volkswagen, not only are you getting the great German engineering, the top-tier safety features, the great performance, style, feel, performance of luxury without the cost, but Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. They're manufactured right here in the U.S. of A. So you're supporting American jobs as well. Get the best of both worlds. If you've never thought of driving a Volkswagen, I just highly recommend put Volkswagen on your list. Go take a test drive. And by the way, they are open on Labor Day as well this year. Even if you've never driven a Volkswagen, never thought about it, put it on your list, test drive one, and experience the difference. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?